Welcome to the portal with Terrie Huberman. Yet another episode. I lived another day in this damn timeline to record another episode for you guys. And I'm so excited about today's guest. I mean, I know I'm excited about all my guests because I always do my best to bring like just the best of the best who I feel. But I'm really excited to bring you guys Owen and introduce you guys to Owen. Owen and I met through our mutual friend, Karen Rontowski. You may know her from Paranormal Karen. And I was just starting to for a while, she had been trying to get me into like timeline creation and manifestation. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But then at that point in my life, I started to become more open about it. And she was on a podcast. Wow, she was a guest. She was a guest on a podcast with Owen, my guest here. And that's when I first met you, Owen, was through Karen. And we were talking like paranormal. I don't remember. It's Karen. So we were talking Karen stuff. But I met you and I was like, oh my God, I adored your personality and everything that you had to say. And then we just kind of traveled together in like timeline world. And I've learned so much about you. So I'm like, I've got to share Owen with everybody that I know of. And so Owen, meet everybody.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here, Terrie. I love the name of your show, The Portal. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And yeah, we had such a blast last time. We're lucky enough to be in the same room.
Yeah.
It was really cool with Karen. And yeah, lights were flickering as we were doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Only with Karen Rontowski. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It was an amazing time. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited. So you're like one of the people that I really look up to when it comes to manifestation and creation and reality and all of that stuff. And I've learned a lot from you. And I just thought maybe you could tell everybody like who you are, how a little bit about how you got to be, what do you do, what your practices are, and then, we'll just see where the rest of the conversation goes.
Cool. Well, here we go. Well, yeah. So my name is Owen. I go by Bootsy Greenwood on the internet, which is my, I guess, stripper name.
Yeah.
Because Owen Hunt is a character on Grey's Anatomy, and he's not the best character. So if you type that in, you'll never find me. So I had to go by some sort of an alias, and I recorded some audiobooks. Self-Reliance I have up by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's one of my favorite books of all time, as well as the Kabbalion and As a Man Thinketh. They're great resources.
Mm-hmm.
I was studying the self-help for, the past 8 years or so, because I came in via the conspiracy door and just kind of wrecked me. I was like, super
wrecked you in a
out.
Good way or a bad way?
I wouldn't call it positive as far as my emotions go.
Sometimes it's good to be wrecked in a positive way.
I mean, yeah, if you're going through that dark night of the soul, I think, I don't know that it's necessary, but I think it's necessary for a lot of us.
Yeah.
It was for me. But yeah, I know that pretty well. And then kind of coming out of that and starting to build my own reality and understand how reality works, what reality is. I probably say this too much, but it's like we can build earthquake bridges. We can, fly to another country. We can do, we could make kettle corn, but we still don't know what the nature of reality is. What is this and why am I here are still the two most resonant questions in every human being.
Yeah.
So I think it all lines up. I think it has to do with being the most authentic version of yourself, being your truest self. And that's really the key to the door to open up to your true purpose, and finding out what your goal is. What is your reason why? What is your intention? And that is the way to find out what the reason why is.
Yeah.
And where to intend, where to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because all we are is attention, right? That's really all we are. Our awareness or consciousness is just an expensive word for attention. That's
Can you explain that a little bit? Because I don't know that when I work with people, it's like, I always say wherever we put our attention and our focus, that's where energy goes, right? Sure. But like maybe you not define it differently, but maybe you have a different way of saying it, because I find that people learn differently and they hear things differently when different people say them. So maybe you have, like, what's your definite, like, how would you,
Yeah. So, I mean, we can think of attention as energy. You can learn to split your attention. That's sort of a Jedi mind trick where where is your focus at all times? Being conscious of our awareness itself, right? Like being the observer of our own reality. It's basically, everything's a paradox anyway, everything's half true. So you are like a participant in this reality, but you're also watching it at the same time. So to be aware of those two things is kind of the paradoxical challenge, I guess, as far as awareness goes, and constantly like falling in and out and in and out. But truly, where we focus our attention, we are amplifying. So if that's a part of your body, if that is a story that you've heard, whatever it is, like that energy through the form of our attention is constantly building. And you can think of it as like buckets maybe, or like you're pouring, like your attention is a pitcher and you're pouring this much, into each one of these buckets, right?
Oh, that's good. That's a good analogy.
You know, keeping in mind that whatever it is that you're giving energy to, whether it's positive or negative, doesn't matter. If you hate on something, you're giving it that push. This is how people who are hated still somehow wind up in power, things like that, So understanding that. So one analogy I really like is if you've ever been to a sporting event and like the home team comes out and everybody cheers for that team. It's like, yay, there's all this great energy. And then the visiting team comes out and then they all boo that team, but they're getting hyped on it. You know what I mean? What would happen if everybody just shut up when the visiting team ran out and it was quiet? Right? So, we can never solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. And that's what we usually do because we're fighting against circumstances instead of creating a new reality to then focus our attention on that, start living that way. And then the old thing just falls away. Right? Yeah. Not in an unhealthy way. It's not that we don't acknowledge that, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like it's not ignorance. Right. It's just like, acknowledging it and then just stepping away from it. Because like on this timeline that we're on, we're all responsible for making the most of it.
I don't think people like to hear that and they don't like to know that.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I don't either. Okay. I mean, it's very interesting because I was / am still very much into law of attraction, but I find the word attraction, it bothers me because it makes me feel like I could be a failure. So like if I don't do my creation or my manifestation right, I'm a failure. But I like the word reflection better. So I like to call it law of reflection versus law of attraction because at least I feel like from the reflective perspective, it's more empowering versus victimizationing, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But it's still the same thing because it's like an indicating system of what's going on with me, like what my reality is. But people don't, I also don't think that people understand that they are creating a lot of their situations because there's a lot of spirituality people out there that are like poo-pooing the whole idea that you created, God forbid, like some sort of violation or your car got broken into or something like that. They're like, it's not your fault. It's not like it's not your fault. It's just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I mean, I do understand that. There's a weird like line there. I also like, as far as the law of attraction goes, like it's not I feel like that's only half the story.
That's what I feel.
So like law of attraction and repulsion, right?
Yes,
I mean, they're both things are happening. You're like putting energy and there is a reflection. Absolutely. Like that's a very esoteric idea, the world is a mirror, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you try to take from it, then what are you actually doing? You're asking it to take from you. And it's weird to think about that because you like get on camera and like you put this hand up, but it's this hand and it's backwards, or something. It's like weird to think about, but we what we're putting into the world, that attention, with our attention, that's our responsibility to be, I think aware, conscious, and responsible stewards of our energy, right? Like, and this is something that I've made a huge mistake of in the past,
Oh my God. Like, I'm still making mistakes right now during this conversation.
Sure. Me too. And that's going to happen. That's just part of being human. So we have to have like our self compassion, be able to love ourselves. That's why I think that our intent and our reason why is so important,
Yeah.
That's really everything. I don't think people are really asking those questions. We become our own echo chamber. We become the echo chamber of whoever that we're associated with. A lot of times I'm guilty of this. It's really easy to fall into as a comedian. You hear somebody's hot take, and you're like, oh, and then that influences you. Before you know it, you're parroting it. Like, really good comics won't even listen to other people's sets, not out of disrespect, but just because they want to deliver their most genuine message. When it comes back to like Self-Reliance by Emerson, that's really what it's all about. And really any of the esoteric stuff, it's about uniting heart and mind. Solomon, sun and moon, heart and mind, being like a unit that's moving in one direction. And that's the true way to beat the timeline, is for people to do what their seed imprint is on the inside of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're an oak tree, then be an oak tree. Yeah. It's fun to discover that, because once you start living your life that way, the goal doesn't even matter anymore. It's about the process of moving toward it, and you can actually relish in it and enjoy that. It's joyful. Right. And I listen a lot to Abraham Hicks, actually, because I get that it's not just law of attraction, that there's more. I still really enjoy getting all these different views and perspectives, and then kind of creating my own way of being, which is that authentic self. But for me, I feel like Abraham Hicks gets me back into alignment. That's like, oh yeah, what's my indicating? Because what I'm reflecting out is my signal, And I was blessed, truly blessed. And I'm actually saving up, because it's expensive, to go again. I did a whole week seminar with Dr. Joe back in February of the year, right before the pandemic hit. And it was life-changing. But I really understood so much about how my heart and my brain work together. And I've just been experimenting. Like, I call it experimentation because for me, I don't have to get emotionally attached, because when I attach too emotionally to something, I feel like that's where I screw up in terms of creation and manifestation. Because the whole like, don't even worry about it, right? Just like design it and then let it go. But I'll have a tendency to like hold on or whatnot. Yeah, but I think everybody does. You want that, and we're constantly like doing these emotional transactions with the universe. It's really, really. Oh, I love that. An emotional transaction with the universe. Oh, and brilliant. That's what spirituality kind of is, right? Yeah. Like, it's us trying to figure out what these crazy feelings that we have, these feels that we have on the inside, these big feels. What is this? And the heart, I think the heart really needs to take the lead. You need to cue off of that. And then the brain creates the model and begins to take action, with your body. But like, ultimately, like, if you desire something, then you also doubt it. Everything is balance. Well, and that's the polarity in the duality. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear it. I don't want to deliver the message, to be honest, but it's true. Everything's half true. Everything will find equilibrium. Any river's trying to become flat, like, that is the way nature is. So instead of fighting against nature, which we try to do for a long time and then ultimately give up, I think it's much wiser and you can keep a lot more of your energy if you find out what are the natural laws that are happening, right? Yeah. And then try to, live your life based on that. And there's less friction. It's just smoother, and that's a lot of the like manifestation stuff. It doesn't work the way that you think it does. Right. The world is constantly playing hide and go seek with you, and you will never be able to pin it down ever. Yeah. So that's part of the play. Well, it's like there's a skeleton though for like formulas or ways of doing it. But when it comes to doing it, that's when the flexibility needs to happen. Right? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And I'm not here to say which is better or more preferable. You can go hermetic. Right. You can cast spells. You can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I think the power is in the in the hands of the person who's wielding whatever the tool is. It doesn't matter what the tool is.
Right.
It's your belief in the tool that makes it work.
Right.
Or lack thereof, right?
Yeah.
Like energetically, you can just slide if you can figure out how to use your mind and your heart to put you in the best, most favorable position. And oftentimes I think when you open up to that and sort of like accept more, I don't know, for lack of a better way to say it, like a sort of divine will, right? Like where you are in line and there's like this outer force that sort of just carries you and you feel good about it. And your mind is like, oh, this is interesting. Like I'm challenged, I'm stimulated by this. Well, at that point you really start to like really create a timeline that's favorable for you individually, right?
Yeah.
So like I think the more people do that, the better our collective timeline gets.
Right. But how do we get people to join in? Well, Owen.
I mean, I think they just need to start asking themselves why. They need to assess themselves. Why am I here? What am I here to do? What is reality? Yeah. Reality is the collective projection of all of our consciousness, right? Yeah. I firmly believe that. I mean, there's obviously some laws in place that are immovable. There are 7 in the Kabbalion, but
what are those? Like, what do you think? Well, from what you know, not even what you think, but what you know, what are those laws?
Sure. So there's a lot of different ways to frame them. That's why I liked transurfing so much, is because like he was talking about natural law with kind of a different angle. Nice. Balance is definitely one of them. Like we talked about that for sure. Yes. Like polarity and balance. Yeah. Things are going to swing always, all the time. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right. So even you as a person are this like swingy magnetic ball thing.
Like minute by minute these days, Owen. It's really uncomfortable.
It's crazy. But that's our comfort zone too. I want to talk about that at some point. Like we want to expand that and be able to, make the ceiling higher and the floor lower, right? Yeah. And expand our comfort zone beyond here, right? Yeah. More and more and more. But balance is one. Balancing forces, like the universe will always attain balance. There's just no way it can't. Yeah. So that's a big one. The all is mind is the first lesson in the Kabbalion, meaning that everything is contained. It could be boiled down to one, and it is a mental construction. We live here in this world. All of it is mental, right? Yeah. We're experiencing some sort of a dream type of scenario in waking reality, but that beyond that, infinity is real. The all is mind, but infinity can somehow be resolved to one, however the hell that works. Yeah. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. But that's the first thing. The all is mind. Everything exists. It's already out there. So as far as like manifesting or whatever we're going to call it, understanding that whatever it is that you want to have in your reality, it already exists. There's a dream space with every film role, every possibility, every idea, every thought, everything already in existence. And so
you just got to get yourself aligned to that.
Exactly. And
that's our responsibility.
Exactly. And you can do that with anchor points, with your attention, right? Yeah. And so thinking about like that person that you want to be, this is easier said than done, all of it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, be easy on yourself, right?
I know.
But these emotional anchor points, especially if you have experienced something in the past, like what you want to see in the future, it's about really feeling that emotion. So however we can trigger that. So visualization is a big part of most of these manifestation type of things. And, I think a lot of it gets a little, I don't know what the right word is. Like it's definitely kind of absurd, really. It's like, oh, just lay around and look and, create an idea with your mind. Yeah. I mean, you have to also take action, Yes. There's some people who have really difficult circumstances and they need to get to a place where they're healthy enough to get to that point, Yeah. But I mean, obviously it will help. But like Dave Chappelle's like, go get on a plane and fly to Africa and tell them, the secret or whatever. It's like, yeah, bro. Come on.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are, a couple of the all is mind, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual in nature. Every truth is a half truth. I think that's the second law. There's also the principle of vibration. Everything is just vibrating. We see it as solid. It's not really. So people talk about vibration. I think that has a lot to do with emotion and mood.
Yes. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Vibrate high. It gets thrown around a lot.
Right.
Resonating also gets thrown around a lot.
But it literally comes down, and this is where the science part is. It comes down to the wave movement and how fast it's moving, and it's the behavior, because energy itself gives none of the fucks. It just is. And that's what I love about energy. So it's
collapsing because we're observing it.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't
no, this is a conversation, bro. It's all good. Yeah, no, and that's exactly what happens. And then it gets denser, and so those survival emotions are those denser, slower moving waves, and it's just a low vibration. But people get offended when it's like, oh, you're vibing low. It's just in that moment, you're just in survival mode. That's all it is. There's no meaning to it. It's just, we are the ones that put the meaning to it. So we just have to feel our way out of it,
Yeah, I think, it's about really being conscious with our attention.
It's a conscious awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreement is what hardens the cement of reality. When we agree upon it. And that's, that's like a lot of why the media is so powerful and important, or social media, right? You see the same sort of stuff over and over and over again. It's just like,
Yeah, but that's for control.
Exactly. So again, it's not about being completely detached or not knowing what's going on, but when you get the message, hang up the phone and start to do what you can do to create that better world, right? So disengaging and actively shifting our attention to solutions instead of the problems themselves. The more we fight against the problems, the more we kick against the pricks, the more we're actually reinforcing that reality over and over. I did it for a while. I was get really bad on Twitter, scrolling through, watching people get shot on fucking Twitter. It's like, Jesus, what are you doing, man? It's my morning routine during the pandemic, the first, thing. Yeah. It's I would just wake up and I didn't know what was going on, right? I'm stuck inside the house, so it's hard to know. And so I would just be looking on Twitter and then see some toxic shit, and then that would just completely torpedo my day. Yeah. So, the past probably, I'd say almost 40 days now, I've been a lot more focused in building the energy for my day at the beginning and not getting on social media. I realized that if you don't create a morning routine, you'll just go into a default one. Well,
that's why I love this idea of manifesting and creating a new reality, because that's where we actually have more control in life than we think. And we're just at the whim and the chaos, and we're just bumping around in life, when we can just say, no, this is, like you were saying, these are my needs, and this is my why. And now I can go ahead with the right intention and attention, create that new reality.
Yeah, it's about not just, seeing it, feeling it is important, seeing it, feeling it, but also taking the action. Gotta do all three. People want a magic pill. I do too. I want a magic pill too, but no existe. Sorry, Poppy.
There is no, because you always and see that, to me, that's the difference between coaching and therapy. Is in therapy you will just talk about it, and that energy will accumulate, and then in coaching you do something about it. So you take action, and action is what is healing, and it breaks you away from the past. So that's what it's, and I look, I'm in therapy, okay? Sure. So I'm not against therapy whatsoever.
No, we all need therapy. No, absolutely.
Damn straight, we all
need it. So learning is behavior change. That's what real learning is, okay? Yeah. It takes a long time to get there. Yeah. And we can read a lot of books and understand all this stuff. So I don't know. I like Robert Anton Wilson a lot because he talks about belief systems being BS, right? That he didn't believe anything, but he had his suspicions. But he could entertain not just one thought, but many thoughts at the same time, and sort of, kind of see what works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
And even if it does, still be skeptical about it, continue to ask questions, entertain different ideas. But like learning itself, it takes a conscious effort, especially after we've been socially conditioned for so long, right?
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we wake up into this world and we begin to imprint, and this is part of his work, the first 4 circuits of consciousness. And he is basing that off of some of Timothy Leary's discoveries in the 60s, which is pretty crazy and interesting.
Yeah.
But basically that at certain levels of being, you imprint certain things. Like the first thing you imprint is your maternal sort of instinct. The second thing you imprint is your paternal or egoic instinct, and you're figuring out sort of this way of filtering the world where you're saying, am I safe in my environment? Am I in danger? Am I at the top? Like, am I alpha, or am I, low? Do I determine? And we imprint that at 2 or 3 years old.
Oh yeah,
right?
we do.
So then at 5 years old, you imprint speech, and we start to put everything into categories based on speech, which is very limiting actually.
Yeah.
But that's how we begin to build our reality tunnel, he calls it, our view of the world. And based on what we can allow into that reality tunnel, it can be wider or more narrow. And reality is in general going to reflect the beliefs that we have about it, right? There's always going to be random shit that you can't do anything about, right? Like the corona thing.
Yeah.
That's just like you said, that's wrestling for control.
Yeah.
But, but it doesn't matter what the world presents us. We can still make a positive reality out. Viktor Frankl's work, what is it called? He was in an internment camp in Germany. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's by Viktor Frankl. He created logotherapy, but he talked about how between stimulus and response, there's a space that is free will, that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to what happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the space that we need to focus on with our attention, and then implement new habits. That's learning. That's behavior change.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When I work with my clients, I basically teach them to unlearn everything that they've learned.
That's what I do.
That's what you're here for. Because, the thing is like, and you can't do that creation and that manifestation until you do have to get to a certain place before you can do that. And I kind of feel like that's what I do when I do my coaching and my mentoring, because people want to already get into their intuition and all that stuff. And it's like, it's there. You just have to unlearn what you've learned so that you can access it, because you cannot use your intuition in this world if you don't feel safe.
Right. You have to come from a place of abundance to really put these like manifestation techniques into practice.
Right.
That's why it doesn't work if you like fly over to Africa to someone who's starving.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, well, just imagine a hot dog, you fucking asshole.
It doesn't, I'm fucking asshole.
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't work. And I feel like that's what I do. That's like a lot of the meat of the work that I do with people, to get them ready to.
That's awesome.
Then they can do.
Yeah, and I think it's important to really self-actualize before you get to that point too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just like willy-nilly like creating stuff. In fact, I think it's really easy to get into the trap of like creating a reality and getting stuck in it.
Oh yeah.
You think you want something, and then you can manifest it or whatever, and then you find yourself living in this slide that you created with your mind.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have wished that.
Be careful for what you wish for.
Yeah. I'm really careful about that. To me, it's really more about the emotions, and all these things that we talk about are models, right? Like the menu's not the meal. Alan Watts famously stated, Robert Anton Wilson said the map is not the territory. Right. These are ways that we are interpreting reality, and models that we can use based on it. So back to what we were talking about earlier, someone who does a ritual, they believe in that ritual, it works for them. Yeah. Totally fine. Different person's going to have different methods, different techniques as far as like how they want to approach the projection that they're trying to see the reflection of in the world. Yeah.
And that's why I'm a fan of learning all different ways of doing different things, and then you do you. So, and that's pretty much like I've learned, and I have attunements to all these various like energetic tools. But when it comes to me actually doing my work, I just create my own thing, and I do what feels intuitively right and all that, because I don't know, I'm one of these people, I see what happens to human beings when they like, oh, this is the way and this is only the way, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think I like that very much.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't buy into the like guru idea either.
I
Like, we're all
don't.
here to help each other.
Yes.
That's what this is. We're
Yeah.
in a place of equality.
Yeah.
And certain people have different tools and methods that they've mastered over time.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing to think about too with your attention.
Yes.
What are you attending to? Like,
Yeah.
if we're building skills in
Yeah.
our free time, or are we, you know, just giving ourselves over to whatever, because that is imprinting on or something. It's okay to relax too, you know,
Yeah.
of course. You gotta have some recreational time.
Yeah.
But truly, with us being at attention, it's like a ticking clock. You know, like, it's like, what are you?
Yeah.
It's a ticking clock. When we come into this video game or whatever, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, all right, here we go. You got X amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So how are we going to spend that?
Yeah,
Are we going to
exactly.
invest our attention? Or are we going to waste it? Are we going to spend it, you know, doing something that's unhealthy for us, or just
Yeah.
not care, just throw it away? So
Yeah.
it's up to us. I mean, it depends on the experience the person wants to have, and I want to help people to have, you know, a unified sense of purpose and meaning for their life, and, you know, get them to give their gift. I do think each and every human being has their own
Absolutely.
gift. Attaining self actualization, really understanding who you are,
Yeah.
and then that really does, I think, open up the door to finding your goal, and then you start to walk along that path, and you actually really just enjoy the process of it.
Yeah.
You know, you hear these cliches all the time, you know, it's not the destination, it's the journey, and you're like, I want to punch you in the mouth,
Yeah.
you know, like with a hammer, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, ultimately when you start to experience that, it takes on a new meaning, I think.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I get it. It's actually not getting to that goal. It's pursuing it that's so fun and engaging, because I know I'm on the right path. So as soon as you can like align your path, at that point you get a special power, you know.
Yeah.
It really is like a special power of like this intention, this motivation, and that the hard things become easy or easier. There's still going to be, you know, bullshit all the time that you're going to have to deal with. Like I did taxes yesterday. I was not happy about it, but, you know, I did it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things you got to do. And, but I really do believe that. I've experienced it myself. I don't think I'm quite to where I would call myself self-actualized, but I'm definitely on the path of it, which is fine. It takes how long it takes. And I could look behind me and see a wake of failure, you know, and that is what it takes. Don't be afraid to fail. Put yourself out there. Persistence is the most important thing as far as persistence is omnipotence. Really, everybody has genius.
Failure can also just be information. Like, don't do that again. Try something else.
Yeah.
You know?
And you might not even call it failure.
Right.
You might
could
call
just be feedback or something like that. You
exactly.
know?
Call it what you want.
Yeah.
I just like to, you know, I'm a little bit of a masochist.
And I'll be like cleaning up the mess after you. Like, it's okay, you're fine. Don't worry.
No, I do try to like embrace the dark part. I mean, you know, it's funny. I have kind of a dark sense of humor.
You have? Look, to be a human being, well, not to be a human being, but to kind of like thrive in a human earth suit during these times, you have to be dark. I'm sorry. You have to. You just gotta. Sick and twisted is what's gonna save your life.
Yep.
You know, don't take everything so personal. It's not real.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Learn to laugh at yourself. Laugh at the absurdity of the reality that's around us, because it really is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
If that doesn't show you that manifesting is possible, I don't know what will. You know what I mean? Just like the fact that people buy into that reality is what creates it, right? We're seeing this feedback loop. And it's the same with us too. Once we like start to align heart and mind, that's a feedback loop. I could spend like a year of my life just telling myself that I love myself, even though I didn't believe it until, you know, like finally I learned that the emotions are more powerful. And if you start there, then you're going to have, I did hypnotherapy with somebody and it helped me tremendously.
Nice.
In my life. That was a few years ago, but
yeah.
But if you start there, that can really make
Yeah.
a much more dramatic impact. But like, that's constantly what we're doing, is we're constantly proving ourselves right. We have to be right. It's our first skill of survival. It's the most important thing. If we are not right about our reality, then that tells us we can't survive.
Right.
So that's why reality is a mirror, and why you see these like negative Nancy's constantly having this terrible, uncalculable bad luck. And you see people who are morons land on their feet over and over again because of their attitude about the world. It really does reflect back, and you see it. If you pay attention, you'll see it.
Yeah.
And you'll see that you're constantly proving yourself right as well, you know? So that's pretty crazy, right?
It's crazy, but once you get it and you understand it, I feel like that's where your power comes from, you know? And so I've been in this growth phase myself of coming to that realization. And I think my biggest recent epiphany was that the feeling is the manifestation.
There you go.
And I was like, holy shit. Cause like right now I feel great. And I'm like, so it doesn't matter what happens now because I feel great. And so that's the mirror that I'm putting out. And when I feel like shit, it's like, oh, that's the manifestation. Fuck.
It's so true, because what do you really want ultimately? If we're being honest, you know, a car or a brilliant creation is not going to keep you warm at night. You know, I've done a lot of creative projects, and I thought, oh, when I get to the top of this mountain, I'll be satisfied. Where I've gotten like actual, you know, physical objects, and they're like, oh, well, if I make this amount of money or get this car or whatever, then I'll be happy. It's all bullshit. All that matters is the way that you feel inside. Like when you wake up and you can feel incredible, no matter what the circumstances around you are showing, then, you know, you're going to have a much better time. Like, I think that draws people to you too, that value that. And those are really the richest sort of things, if we could even call them that. They're really like connections. Of course, my personality type is like mediator. So I love
me too, peacemaker.
Okay, all right, cool, very cool. So yeah, I love being around people and working with people, and the flow of love and relationships. That's like something that's really important to me. So I get a lot from that. And usually, now that I've changed my morning habits, usually start with just thinking about somebody that I just adore, love, you know, or even like could be a pet or someone who's no longer with us or whatever. And just start with that. You know, as a saying, like attention is all we are. It's like an amplifier. So if I can create this feeling on the inside of me and then start to focus on it, now I have a feedback loop. My mind and my heart are talking now, and they're creating this feeling in my body. That's a good way to start the day, you know?
It's a really good way to start the day.
It definitely helps. And just like understanding that we're constantly, everything's like this feedback loop. You know, you've seen like The Tourist too, right?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's coming out from your head, and then it's coming back into the heart, and then, you know, that's
Exactly. And so we're doing that with our world. We're constantly proving ourselves right about what we believe about the world. That's why we haven't figured out reality yet, is because it's whatever we think it is. And then and then we're doing the same thing with our thoughts and our emotions all the time. So, you know, I mean, I think that's a really good place to start, is just asking yourself again, like that self-assessment is everything. It is. You know, like no matter what somebody else said or what they're saying, you know, publicly on the news or on the internet or your best friend, it doesn't matter. Fuck all that. It doesn't matter. You need to like find your own center, your own place of grounding your awareness. That's a great foundation to start. For me, that's my heart. And so I was talking about splitting attention earlier. Like you can do cool little games and practices with your attention. You know, you can sit in your living room and focus on a place in your body and make that your fundamental thing. And then you can give a piece of your attention to the lamp and a piece of your attention, you know, and start incorporating things into your awareness. It's like it really is kind of like a Jedi mind trick. It's trippy, but like you get to the point where your awareness can sort of absorb, you know, whatever's going on in the room. You know, and you start to like feel that, you know, it's real weird, but it's a really cool and interesting practice. Just understanding that we are just like attention centers that are generators, you know? So like focusing on that feeling that I get in my heart in the morning, the more I focus on it, the more it just amplifies it. Amplifies. We're always doing that.
Where did I read? I think it was somewhere in the Heart Math. I don't know if you're familiar with the Heart Math Institute. They do a lot of heart coherency, and they do a lot of research on the heart. And they said something like, if you can get into 10 minutes of heart coherency, that energy that's giving out, I'm trying to remember if it was Heart Math. I may be wrong, people. I may be wrong. But anyways, doesn't matter. I read somewhere that heart coherency that you're giving out can last up to 6 hours. Can you imagine just that 10-minute work that you're doing in the morning, Owen? Like, you go out wherever you do, like in Corona times. Yeah, because we're like party people these days. But for 6 hours, that's what's happening.
Cool.
10 minutes of work for 6 hours of, like, come on.
Yeah. And
you tell me it's not worth it.
It's totally worth it. And you can also continue to focus on that throughout the entirety of the day. So if you're going to get real high, you know, you're trying to score some elevation for a meeting, then, you know, like you'll notice it too. I mean, people will come up to you and tell you that you've got good energy or something. It will happen. People will literally change the way that they react to you. Well,
this is the biggest indicator. You look different. Did you change your hair? Did you lose weight? What is it?
Yeah. Did you get laid? What?
Yeah, did you get laid? Oh, you got laid.
No,
it's been 2 years. No, I'm just doing heart coherency. But if it looks like I'm getting laid, hey,
all right.
You know, so yeah, but that's exactly right. Yeah, cool. Was there anything else that you wanted to share or add or anything or?
I don't know. I'm excited about what's going to be going on during the backdrop of this conversation and see, it'll be an interesting measurement to see, you know, the congruity. Because I do think there's a lot of people who, I don't know, are frankly full of shit, who are oh, you know, you create your reality and you're not believing hard enough and this and that, you know, like the timeline jumping. I don't disagree that it's not possible, and you're living your own variations in these timelines, but we can only be so close to, you know what I mean? Like you can't dissociate your mind and heart and live on it. I mean, you do that, and then you wind up in a, you know, completely different reality than you're physically existing in. And you can do that, but that's like, you know, I don't think that's preferable. That's a trip to the cuckoo house, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I do think that, you know, I just all I care about for folks is that they have the tools to really start to look within themselves and listen to what's going on inside. Because that's the only way that I think you'll really attain a level of peace or durable fulfillment in your life. You know, it's great to accomplish goals and do great things and create awesome pieces of art and stuff like that, but that's never going to fulfill you, right? Like that's just something that you're doing on the way. So check yourself, you know, like that's
because it's very easy to wreck yourself.
It really is. And I spent a long time doing that and not paying attention to what was really going on. But I think the more that we can each develop that skill and just remember, you know, that our attention's very powerful, then the better the world is going to reflect as a result of that.
Definitely. Well, I definitely want to have you back, and we can even like go into more specific things, you know, and in other if you'd come back.
Yeah, I would love to. I love talking with you. We had such a good time the first time. And
I know.
just as much fun this time. So.
Yeah. So we're at the part of the portal where, if you choose to, you can have a reading. It's a quickie. So Owen, we'd be having a quickie if you're okay with that.
I'm down. It's also technically a nooner for us.
A nooner, yes, yeah.
We'll have a quickie nooner reading.
A quickie nooner, I'm in. I'm always in for that.
I'm totally down for that. Absolutely.
Okay, so have you ever seen me do readings or anything or anything?
I've seen some of them on Instagram.
Some of them. Okay, cool. So then you have an idea that you know, I'm more metaphorical than anything, so resonate with the information, right?
Totally. Yeah, of course.
So, and I'm very much like, if what I say doesn't feel right to you and it doesn't sit right, like, don't take it. Like, just, you know, I could be totally wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm not all knowing.
Yeah.
I'm looking, most of the time my predictions are because I can see different timelines. Like if you chose this would happen. And if you chose that would happen. So do you have a question? Like, is there anything I can answer for you? Or
Yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about moving.
Oh, I hope it's to LA.
In the next probably 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
I'm considering Atlanta. It's not too far from where I am.
Okay.
But
so you're going to
also
stay in Georgia?
I don't know. I mean, I'm open, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking about moving. So that's a whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will say that if you do choose to move, there's going to be, or you have it's either this will happen or you just have a tendency to be nostalgic. You're a nostalgic kind of guy. You understand that? Like, but that's the heart thing, you know, you're really about the heart thing. So I do, when you first asked, am I going to move or should I move? You know, I feel like you can move. But I also feel like there should be, when you go to wherever you're looking for it, for you, it'll be really important to tap into that nostalgic feeling. So for you, that nostalgia is actually comforting when you're visiting those nostalgic places, typically. Do you understand that? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because when you're not, like when you're being nostalgic and it doesn't feel right, that's not going to be the indicator for you. Like you can go back and you can, you know, relive like horrible relationships or whatever, but that's not really nostalgia. That's just like a bad memory. So for you, nostalgia is actually, it feels like an important part of your life. Like, I don't know if you, like, I feel like, and whether you do or don't, I don't know, you'll have to let me know, but you would review pictures or you look back at old pictures and like you think fondly of things. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. And like you'll have attachment also to objects. Does that make sense to you? Sure. So that feeling in your heart that you feel will be an indicator as to if you're where you should move to. So if you wanted to even like look at a map, like just get into that space and just kind of feel into it. That nostalgic feeling is what you're really looking for. I do feel like, hold on one second. I feel like you could move. There's something about even just aligning with finances if you were to move. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. And there's something about spring. I don't know when you were looking to move, but there's a connection to spring. So it wouldn't be this past spring. So, and it could be wrong with timing. So if it's not next spring, it's the spring after, but there is a connection to you moving with spring. And here's the thing is you're going to manifest this place. Like you are, like, you don't even have to, like your power, your authority, your, oh, what's the word? It's escaping me right now. But your authority over yourself is going to find you the right place. You will be able to create through, I mean, you're a magician of sorts. So you will be able to, I do feel like you can move. If you're going to stay, I feel like you should sort of move things around in your apartment or move the furniture around because it does feel a little bit like there's a bit of a stagnant flow. So if you choose not to move, you probably want to move and rearrange. You might even want to change rooms. So like right now, if you have like a 2-bedroom place, switch where you would sleep, actually.
Okay. Okay.
I do feel like there will be something within your budget. And I don't know, what is this about water? Do you like water or what is this connection you have to water?
I do like water.
Yeah.
I'm a water sign.
Okay.
Very watery in general. In all the ways.
You're moist, very watery.
I can't say it, but you can.
I can say it. Yeah, so there does where it, okay, this is the other thing. This is going to be very interesting. If you move to a place, I feel like there should be water on the property or near the property. Okay. And that is just to help your energy again, because you're so watery, you need that. If this is interesting, because this is what they're telling me and this is what I'm saying. If you stay where you are, this is going to sound fucking weird, but I just, you know, you do with it as you please. put either bowls of water or glasses of water, like in one of the corners, wherever in every room that you're in. I've never been told that information before, but again, it's something about that water. But I would renew and refresh the water every day. Of course. Because you don't want it to collect all the schmutz. But right. You know, energy, water is like a conductor of energy too. So that could be why you're so watery too. But I feel good about Atlanta for you. When you said Atlanta, like I felt an expansion in my solar plexus. So I like that. I don't feel like you have to move states, but you do what you want to do. Like it's more of the calling. Again, it's more of that, where that homely nostalgia where you feel safe and secure. So that's what I get. And I feel like the possibility, like the timing wise, there's something about spring, and it could be early summer, but there's something about spring.
That's right on. Yeah. I mean, that's right on for sure.
Okay. Is that when you were planning, or you were thinking that's when you would start?
I was thinking I would, try to find the place. Was probably April. So so that seems right. Like in the meantime, I'll probably be shuffling, but but have your water. Look, if you have your water, you'll be fine. Like for you, water would be your home base. When you said April, I heard 24. So I'm not saying it's April 24th, but I'm just saying like there's something, also a connection to the number 24. So maybe in the address, there's a 24, maybe it's apartment number 24 or unit 24 or whatever, or something. Don't be married to it, of course, but just maybe it's 24 days. I mean, it could be like, who knows what the exact thing is, but I feel like there's a connection to the number 24. It feels good to me. I feel like you should move, but I can't make that decision for you. But there's a connection to finances too if you do move. So I hope that helps. It helps. It helps a lot.
Okay, good. You'll have to let me know what the outcome is. And of course we're staying in touch. So I'll know, Oh, and if you wanted to, if you have like several places that you're looking at, I'll give you my number. Text me the different areas. Cause I do compatibility things. So like, I'll like feel your energy and the energy of the place. And I'll be like, I don't think I do that. So just let me know and I can help you out with that.
Awesome. Thanks, Terrie. That's so sweet.
So Owen, if people want to work with you, or if you have any projects, tell me what's going on. What can we tell? Like, how do we get people to you?
Sure. So I do coaching, and you can find me everywhere at Bootsy Greenwood. I'm at Bootsy Greenwood on every platform. If you want to just follow me on Venmo, you can do that.
And pay.
Hey,
listen, if everybody donates $24, I'm just kidding.
The number 24. No, but I have a YouTube channel. I've been putting out stuff on there for quite a while, audiobooks. I have a podcast as well. It's called Bootsy Greencast. You can find that. I'm on Patreon, and I do a weekly podcast on Patreon for my Patreon people. But anybody who reaches out to me, I'll talk to you. I'll respond. I want to collaborate always. Like I said, I'm a mediator type of person, and I love to work with other people, and it's all about building networks. Have a lot of other interesting resources, and I'm part of the autonomy group that Richard Grove and Tragedy and Hope has done. If you haven't heard of that, it's really cool and interesting. It's a great way to stimulate the mental faculties, work on logical things and fun things like that. But they also have like a class that's basically like everything you should have learned in school but didn't. Kind of thing. So that's really cool, and I recommend that as well. But at Bootsy Greenwood all over the place.
And I'll make sure I have all your contact information down below in the description section too. Thank you so much, Owen. This was so much fun. We'll do this again.
Awesome. I can't wait. I look forward to it. I had a blast. I'm excited for the rest of the day now. Thank you so much.
Good. High vibes.
That's right. I'm vibing high. That's right.
And everyone, thank you so much for all your support and for watching and listening. Just love having you guys around. Engaging with you is so educational for me because I learn from you and through you. So every time you share information with me or you share your experiences, I truly, truly feel connected to you, which is my number one value, is connection. And it's so important to me that I connect with you. And I appreciate all of you. And thank you guys all for watching and supporting The Portal with Terrie Huberman. Stay connected, and I'll see ya on the flip side.